The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse Ewing. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle, where you can access your full potential right now. Finally break free from destructive habits. That dream life, if you want it, you can have it. This is where you transform your health, mind, business, and relationships. Or do nothing and keep your life the way it is. But if you're ready for change, you're in the right place. This is where you're gonna learn how to live a habit-based lifestyle. You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewing. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.
As we are going through this today, I want you to simply think about the real reason you have not reached, or you may have not reached your full potential. And what do I mean by that? I simply mean, what is the real reason why you haven't accessed that full potential? You know, that thing that you say you have so much more in you, but at the same time, you say you haven't accessed this part of you. And as I get into today, I'm going to give you a framework of how to understand why you haven't accessed this full potential you talk about. So let's just think about it this way. As I draw this out, I want you to really understand the power that comes in this. So if you're following along, go ahead and comment, so that way I can answer any questions as we get into this. But think about your full potential as a bank account, or we could just say it's a life savings. Okay. And it's a bank. And we could just call this the Bank of Jesse. What I find a lot of times is people never actually create a currency or a frame of currency for this full potential or for this bank. So the Bank of Jesse must have a framework, a defined goal of where I'm actually going. And so as we use this story or this excuse of, hey, I haven't actually reached my full potential. Yes, I know. This is in the top right corner. There's a reason for that. It's so you can see the rest of the screen. But so number one, we haven't defined what our actual full potential is. So therefore, if we've never defined what our full potential is, how could we ever actually live up to it? So that's problem number one. Problem number two is you've never actually created a framework of what your full potential actually looks like. So what does that mean? That means that I have no framework of what my full potential means. I have no idea what I need to work on. And so therefore, I'm always chasing this thing that I've never actually defined what it looks like. No wonder I can't reach my full potential, because like a trip or like a roadmap, if I was driving across the country and I didn't have a defined place that I was going, I didn't have a framework of, the type of car, where I would stop, kind of like a plan of action, then I would end up somewhere I didn't want to be. Now, most people, when they say I haven't lived to my full potential, they're living to where they don't want to be. So in living where I don't want to be, one thing continues to happen is if I don't know what I want or don't know where I'm going, I will continue to go to where I don't want to be. So as we get into this today, I want you to think about your life or an area of your life, possibly your business. You could insert anything you want at this point, but I'm going to give you some framework. And this framework looks something like this. We have two types of currency. We have spending, or we have investing. Now, inside of that, This is the currency that we may have. We have time, we have energy, we have thought, and we have money. And I want you to think about in your life spending. I want you to think about in your life investing, and think about the two differences that come with these things. So we can spend the exact same thing that we can invest in. What it really comes down to is, what do we choose, or what's our choice? And so we can choose to invest the same exact thing: time, energy, thought, and money. But every second, every moment, every hour, every time we wake up, every single day, we have the ability to either spend or invest. And as we do this, the results become what I ultimately am choosing to do. And so I have reasons. They could possibly be my results, or I have reality that could possibly become my result, or at least, let's just say, real. Because ultimately what I'm searching for is a real tangible result that I ultimately want. And so inside of this, we have a banking system, not like the Federal Reserve where we just print money, but this is a banking system that you make deposits in every single day. So we can deposit if we're investing time. If we're spending time, we're losing our focus. If we're investing time, we're increasing our freedom. So I want you to think about, when you're at work, are you spending time, working on tasks? Maybe it's being on social media. Time that you don't get back. Are you learning how to leverage time? Because as an entrepreneur, as someone who runs a business, as someone who's had up to 25 employees and ran multi-million-dollar companies and businesses, the number one thing that you must understand when it comes to business, when it comes to economics, is the leverage of time. See, we all have 24 hours in a day, but the big difference between someone who understands leverage and how to create more of that understands that, hey, listen, if I work an 8-hour day, I don't actually get more than that 8 hours. But the most entrepreneurs wear this thing where they work 12, 14, 16 hours a day, and they wear it like a badge of honor. They work hard, we'll say that. The CEO who is investing realizes that, hey, I'm going to work 8 to 10 hours, but I'm going to hire 2 people. And those 2 people work 8 to 10 hours. So overall, between all of us, we cover anywhere from 24 to 30 hours a week. So no matter how, powerful you are, no matter how much you work, the number one thing that you need to understand is how to leverage time, how to leverage yourself so that you can buy back time. So every week, this person is beating this spending person because they understand what it means to leverage time and all of these things. And so at the end of the day, what we invest is what we get back. So understand that if I'm investing in my time, I'm always getting freedom back and I'm getting more leverage back, which gives me the ability to get 2 to 3 times more done than this person who over here spending all day at work, but they're not actually getting shit done. Then we have energy. And so energy is spent in 2 ways. Energy goes out and nothing comes back in. And so what I see a lot of entrepreneurs do is they spend a lot of energy, running around, chasing customers, chasing clients. They have no real framework for their customers or clients to operate under. They have no framework for them to operate under. And so they just randomly get up and they immediately lose energy inside of their cell phone, inside of their emails, inside of their social media, inside of their lifestyle every single day. And they run around and have no real plan or no real framework. This is the person who runs around spending, 12, 14, 16 hours a day, giving away his energy to everyone else before he's actually taking care of himself first. See, inside of the habit-based lifestyle acceleration system, we work on habits that will ultimately give you the energy that you need so that you can show up in the best place possible. So people get the best version of you when you show up. And so this is where you make an investment on you every single day for the first 2 hours. Now, if you're watching this, I'm sure several of you inside of this group are like, hey, I do this every single day. And I'm going to call you out on this because here's what I know. I know people who would pay $25,000, $50,000 that wouldn't do this every single day, even though they would preach to everybody like they did. But I know that they didn't. How do I know that? Because based off the results in their life, they were only operating about 50% of what they actually said. It's very easy to understand where people are at when you look at one simple thing, not what they say, but what are their results in their life? Because that tells the real story. Are their results filtered down with reasons, or are they actually real? Because where I come from, the way that we know if you have the result that you truly want is we can look at all kinds of ways. Let's look at your marriage. Let's look at your bank account. Let's look at your business. All of these things are results indicators that tell us what's really going on. So the first thing that we must do is begin to invest in us, because if we don't invest in us, then we don't actually show up as the best version of us. And people get, the 50% version of us, which usually is someone who's out of energy, running around trying to save everybody else, because ultimately the reason I try to save everybody else is because I'm trying to fill up my own energy from helping people versus actually working on myself first so that people get the best part of me. Then we have thought. Here's what I know. A lot of entrepreneurs get in their head. Many of the guys inside of my program and even women in my program, one of the first things that I talk about is like, hey, what are you thinking about all day long? What are you thinking about when you're getting ready to go post on social media? What are you thinking about when you start going through the process of being able to build a virtual business or being able to find your clients virtually? One of the number one things they think about or they have as this thought is, who's judging me? See, most people resist taking their business on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and showing up as the authentic version of themselves because they're worried about the 1, 2, 3 people that are going to judge them. Generally, it's their best friends they've known forever. Generally, it's their family or somebody close to them that they're worried about judging them. But here's the thing. If you're judging you, then inside of your mind, inside of your life, whenever you go do something, you're going to immediately turn it on somebody else. See, and our thoughts confirm our reality. Our thoughts may not be true, but if there are thoughts and we attach to them, we begin to judge what's actually going on. And so for many people, I see this idea of spending thought, judging, who's going to judge me for putting myself out there. I see people worrying about, who might say something, who may not like what they say, or just making fun of them. And here's the thing is we have to get past that if we want to reach our defined goal, because our thoughts, whenever we set a goal, our thoughts get in the way. They tell us, hey, Jesse, you can't accomplish this. So someone else repeats that. because that's what I'm thinking. And so I'm putting out that energy, I'm putting out that thought, I'm putting out that time into that. And that's actually robbing me of the investment that I ultimately want to make. And so as we do this, things pop up in our life. But if I have a defined goal, I'm going to begin to make a deposit into that goal. So, what is one step that I can take? Hey, of course, the story comes up or that thought comes up, but how do I actually move forward? Well, I have to have the ability to reframe it. So, I go from, so and so is judging me and my thoughts to, obviously, I have something that I need to deal with inside of me. And so when I reframe it, is instead of, so and so is judging me, it's like Jesse's judging me. Well, Jesse's judging me because he's not reaching the potential inside of me that he sees. And so as I begin to live to this full potential, as I begin to invest in the positive thoughts or the things that get me what I want, ultimately, what I will begin to do is I will begin to make deposits into the thoughts that get me dividends. These dividends come back in a defined goal and getting me one step closer. These dividends come back into me really understanding what it takes for me to ultimately get what I want. And then we have spending. See, there's a lot of people that think spending or this idea of spending is going to somehow save us. But as we know, any type of savings, saving money, saving someone else is scarcity based. It's saying there's not enough to go around. So we have to save money. We have to save our friendship. We have to save, save our business. We have to save our results because there may not be enough to go around. We have to save our food. And for a lot of people that are stuck in this save mentality, they're stuck in a scarcity mentality. Doesn't matter how much money you have. If you're talking about saving all the time, you are coming from a place saying that, listen, there's not going to be enough around. There's not going to be an abundant amount around. So I need to save on what I'm actually doing because I never know when my luck might run out or there may be an issue. Well, money can be accessed inside of abundance or inside of this idea of creation. So if I'm trying to save, I'm obviously in scarcity. If I'm trying to create or working towards creating, I'm still putting the same amount of energy out. It's just, what am I choosing? Am I choosing the spending or am I choosing the investing energy? Because one is about creation and creating something. The other is about saving and being in scarcity. And I have to shift my thinking into an abundant mindset. Listen, we all know this, that there's an abundant amount of resources out in the world. There's an abundant amount of money, but we operate from a place of saving. We operate from a place of scarcity, and it shuts down our ability to create. It shuts down our ability to be in abundance. And it shuts down our ability to get dividends back on our investment. I want you to think about an area of your life where, maybe the result, we'll just say this is your account. This would be your bank account. In order to access my full potential in my bank account, I'm going to have to invest my time, my energy, my thought, my money into things that are going to actually grow. So these are all things that are going to help me grow. These are all things that are going to help me be stagnant, or they're all things that are going to drive down my value and decrease. They're going to decrease my pocketbook, my spending, all of these things. There's going to be very little back on what I actually get paid. And so ultimately, I always want to check with the results. So we could replace this with my health. And I could say, well, listen, I'm spending time sitting on the couch versus investing time into moving. I'm spending energy complaining about my joints, complaining about my rolls versus taking that energy into habits and actually doing something about it. I'm spending thought thinking about all I need to do is just lose weight, where I'm using thought into, hey, I'm doing the things that are actually going to help me lose weight because everything that I'm thinking about is getting me closer to what I want. And then maybe money is I'm spending money on fast food versus investing money into foods that are actually going to help me get the results that I want. So the number one way that you can begin to access your full potential is number one, you got to have a defined goal. Number two, you got to have a framework. My framework is spending versus investing. If I look at the results of my account, look at the money, look at the weight, look at where my relationship is with my wife, look at my health, look at my spirituality, I come back to the results and then I ask myself, okay, how much more potential could I actually live? How much more potential do I actually have to get to my goal? Because I can look and say, maybe it's in time, maybe it's in my energy, maybe it's in my thoughts, maybe it's in my money. Maybe I can shift those things and reframe them so that I can actually begin tapping into my full potential. But here's one thing that I know. If I don't define the goal, it's going to be very hard for me to live to a potential that I haven't even set a goal in. If I don't have a framework to operate under, then I have no idea how I can increase or decrease. And then the last thing is if I don't have a goal or don't know where I want to go, I'll end up exactly where I don't want to be. And so if you're watching this today, what area of your life are you not living to your full potential? What area of your life maybe you feel like you are? And what's the difference of the two? If we just look at your results and your results alone, we can tell very easily what's going on. So I want you guys right now to type up in the comments, like, what are you taking away from this? Because this is a powerful exercise that you can walk through. The last thing I'm going to leave you with today is this. Every second of the day, you're either spending or you're investing. Ultimately, the choice is yours. What are you going to choose?
The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse